And you wouldn't have 90% of the guys that flip without that. If they would have just left them a fucking alone, you know, when they played those tapes for Sammy, what John Gotti said, that sealed Gotti's fate. Because he had to fucking say the shit like that. You know. So it's like, but that's how I got arrested. That's how I met Frank. That was my first encounter with Detective Pergola. You know. Badass motherfucker. You know.
No, see that I didn't know that. I didn't know like they would, you know, they're gonna
read the
whack
book.
you off. Yeah, I haven't read.
Yeah, it's all in the fucking book.
Oh, let's stop for a second.
Stop or start?
It's just I'm gonna have to just
Viable.
a little bit.
Yeah, but not the whole interview that way. You know what I'm saying? That I thought was just more natural. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't know. It must be. That was the time they said they're gonna put a hit on you? Is that exact moment
when I was in the joint? Yeah.
When you were in the joint.
You see, what happened is when I split New York, just to save face, you know, because you got to understand the inner workings of the mob. Just to save face, Nino told everybody this story that I took $250,000 of his money and split. When in reality, I had no fucking money. I mean, nothing to speak of. I went to California on welfare. I had a $40,000 Mercedes that I couldn't sell because I didn't have the papers on it. And the papers were being held by a partner of mine back here who I didn't trust with anything, you know, to try and fuck me. So I kept the car, and I would take like a $50 bit out of our welfare and just drive to Los Angeles. And I mean, I went into Los Angeles. I never knew a soul in Los Angeles. And I started hanging out in bars on the Sunset Strip. I finally met a bartender who was an ex-Green Beret. And I asked him where the real action was in town. And he told me, he said, this place, the La Hot Club. You know, and I went over there, started hanging out there, and I met this Mexican guy, Al Martinez. And we got friendly. And then he said that there were some Colombians that he wanted me to talk to. And I met this other guy, this Colombian, who ran fucking Los Angeles, the dope in Los Angeles. And what had happened was this Italian guy who was hooked up with the family in LA had gotten $160,000 worth of product and didn't give them the money. And they didn't want to do anything with him and start a war with the family. So they said, if I could collect the money, you know, street shit, I get half. So I collected the money. And when I gave it to them, I pulled a Scarface before Scarface. I told them, I said, no, man. I said, you guys as a present. That was it. It opened up the floodgates. I mean, I could get 30 keys in a month and get 200 days to pay it back. You know, because I did that one thing. They moved me to LA. They got me and my wife and my kids a townhouse with a Maserati parked in the garage, a black Maserati Bora. And that was it. I started then. The only problem was I had no way to sell it. I could get it, but I had no way to sell it. So I'm in this after hours club called the Daisy on Rodeo Drive in Beverly Hills. And that's when Nicole Simpson was a waitress there. And I'm in there, and I get this bottle of champagne over at the table. And the waiter points to this guy at the bar. He said, he just sent it over. And it was a guy I collected the money from, the Italian guy, Glenn Gorio, right? So he comes over to the table, and because I told him to send the bottle back. And he comes over to the table, he says, well, you don't want no champagne, blah, 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 blah. I said, I don't even want to fucking talk to you, man. Leave me the fuck alone. He says, no. He says, I want to talk business. I said, what business I got with you? Because the way I collected the money was pretty nasty.
How did you?
I put a pistol in his mother's mouth. So, you know, he says, I need somebody like you. I said, well, what could you do for me? Now, it turned out that Gorio was the Beverly Hills connection. He sold to all the movie stars, the producers, all of that. So now I had my way to move this shit. So I said, well, what are you paying for shit? And blah, 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 blah. And I was getting it for like 1/3 of what he was paying for his. So I started to supply him, and it just grew and grew and grew. And within 6 months, I went from welfare to a $2 million home on a private island. It's in the book.
It's in the book. That's amazing.
Yeah, so that was my LA thing.
Well, how'd you hook up with the Crips in LA?
With my, what do you call it, Angelo Brown and Sinkford Langston. Sinkford Langston, he was like an underboss with the Crips out there. And Angelo had just gotten out of the joint. He did 14 years. He had just gotten out. And Langston's girlfriend, Tony, introduced me to Danielle, the penthouse pet of the year. So through that, I got to introduce to Langston. Through that, I got introduced to his two cousins, Angelo and Dane, who was just this whacked out Crip. I mean, just a whacked out Crip. He was like, if you watch Colors, he was like the kid, not High Top, but the other one.
I don't remember that well, but
Yeah, well, I mean, he was just like the wackiest of the Crips. And we started doing jobs together. We started doing heists of drug dealers and shit. And that's how we got together. And then we were talking, and I said, look, I could definitely do better than what you guys are paying over here. And I started to just supply them with the shit, and they had the factories. I mean, they were cooking, sheets of this stuff. So it was pretty lucrative,
With the Crips, I mean, what were you, when you said you're doing heists of drug dealers, you're robbing
Me,
drug dealers?
Angelo, and Sinkford, and Dane.
You're just robbing drug dealers?
Yeah.
Or?
We used to have, I had a company I put together called Canterbury Pest Control.